Hey friends, welcome back to Mustard Seed Homesteading. If you're new to my channel, my name is Megan and I'm really glad that you're here. What I do every week on this channel is I give a garden tour, and right now we're harvesting every week because we have food that just keeps on giving. And so what we're going to do today is I'm going to give you a tour, but I'm also going to be sharing what I'm going to be doing this fall season for my garden. And then of course, continue to harvest with the garden that keeps on giving. So let's get started. All right, friends, well, this first bed that I always show towards the beginning, because we start from this end all the way down so that I can show you every part of what is growing and what is going on. Now, for anyone that has watched my videos, you know that this year with the peppers, it's been a little bit slow going, and I do think it's because the basil that was surrounding it probably didn't help because it was overgrown. You can see that I cut most of it down a couple days ago. I'm going to be freeze drying it, and then I gave some to a neighbor up the street as well. But some good news is we do have some peppers I feel like are starting to really come in. So we do have, okay, we'll take this red chili pepper or cayenne pepper, but we do have a lot that they're just blooming. So I think by taking the basil or cutting the basil down was very, very helpful. And so now that the basil is cut back, I really do think that I'm going to be able to get quite a bit of more peppers in the next couple of weeks before I have to either tear them out, or as part of my gearing up for fall, I did think about overwintering this bed with the pepper plants. I'm not sure yet. I know that sounds kind of crazy. I don't know if anyone has ever done that before, but I'm highly, highly considering doing that. Okay, so let me show you what peppers are growing. So this one is still here, it's growing, but this one over here is now starting to finally turn color. So I'm gonna wait for this to turn color, but there are quite a bit of blossoms that are showing. And then the red cayenne pepper that I've been consistently harvesting every week has quite a bit on there. So I'm waiting for those, and I wanna say, the habaneros too, yeah, they have not turned orange yet, but there is quite, you can see there's quite a bit on here. So we're just gonna wait for that to turn orange. And then let me see, I wanna say these little guys too are not quite, I think they're gonna start to turn color. Now these are mini bell peppers. They're supposed to be this size. They're absolutely so much fun. And then let me see, I wanna say that there was some more peppers over here that is starting to bloom, and this actually might be the orange cayenne pepper. I'm not really sure, but look, they're starting to come in. I knew this was going to happen, that they were just going to start to form like almost at the last minute. But you know what? I'll take it. I'll take it. If it's like the last week, I will take it, because what I plan to do now, I'm not sure if I'm going to do it with this bed, and I'll share as I go down that way, is I might start planting things, or planting either carrots, parsnips, beets, so forth around the perimeters of my beds, while keeping some of the plants in the middle, because a lot of my plants that are in the garage, like my seed starts, are probably going to be the ones that I put in the middle of the the garden grids, because I do square foot gardening with these garden grids, water irrigation systems. And then what I may do, like I said, is start to put seed on the perimeter of the beds. Now for the green beans. So this side is green beans, and we're gonna walk over this way. These are all the beautiful cucumbers. We have some to harvest today. And then here are some more green beans. So we're gonna harvest some green beans right now, and then we will harvest some of those beautiful cucumbers that continue to come every week. All right, you guys, I'm gonna show you some green beans, and then I'm gonna put the camera up so that I can harvest all of these, but they're everywhere. I mean, there's so many green beans. Look at all of them. This is exciting. I love harvest time. I love harvest time. Whoop. Look at all those, so pretty. Look at all of that. And there's some tomatoes too. Oh my goodness, look at all those tomatoes.
Now, one of my favorite things about growing green beans in the summertime going into the fall season, especially bush green beans, is that I can keep planting beans and continue to harvest my green beans going through the fall until the frost. It worked great last year, and it's what I plan to do every year. And the reason I say bush green beans is because they mature fairly quickly and produce pretty much all at once, and then they're done, versus vining green beans take longer to start producing beans. And do you have a particular crop that you like to continue to sow and harvest up until your freeze?
All right, so look at all the green beans that we got just from this one side. And then of course I grabbed these 2 tomatoes, and there's a few more I think we're just gonna grab while we're over here. And then look at this pile of green beans from this side. And again, there's still more flower buds all over these green beans. So I'm thinking probably later this week, I might plant another green bean next to each one of these plants for the next set of green beans before, hopefully, before the frost comes. Okay, so since I'm over here on this side, I am gonna harvest a couple of, gotta go through my bamboo sticks here, a couple of the cucumbers that are on the side. I am so grateful that these keep producing. So we're gonna pick this one. Oop, I'm stuck in the bamboo sticks, you guys. Hold on. Now, just so I want to add that these bamboo sticks, the reason I have them, there's 4 per square, because I put green beans next to each bamboo stick. And this is really just for support. That's all it is for the green beans, so that I can support them as they are growing so they don't fall over. And I forgot to get these green beans. And then there's those two tomatoes that I picked. So let's take this and our cucumber, and let's go put it in our basket. Now, before I come over here to grab the rest of the green beans on the other side, I am gonna come over here and I'm going to harvest some of my cucumbers. There's still some that are growing, and if this is your first time watching any of my garden tours, all I've done this year is oops, sorry, hold on one. Let me grab this. Ooh, this one's being stubborn. Oh, got it, okay. So what I've done this year is I've let these runners just grow. I have not pruned the runners off, but I have pruned back diseased leaves or leaves that just didn't look good. and I've had a really good consistent supply of cucumbers, which has been really nice. So let's go grab some more. And I also thankfully have not seen those worms. They are these worms that will make a little hole in your cucumber and literally eat it from the inside out. So I haven't seen those either, which has been great.
I have been really fortunate to have a consistent supply of cucumbers this summer. It wasn't always like that before, but as I've shared previously, I think it's because I left the runners just do their thing that it has allowed me to grow a lot more.
Now, there are some that are not ready for harvesting. They need a little bit more time. And then we also have some baby ones. And here's some more baby ones. And then the piccolini, I want to say these are the piccolini F1s. I thought they stopped growing, but I see one here, and I think there might be a few more. And there's one right here. So there's a lot of little baby ones. We'll have to see if they grow all the way. I still have till November 6th, but because that's my first frost date. But we'll see. And as far as these beds right here and here, because the cucumbers are all planted right here at the edge, I really will probably keep these going for as long as they can, even if it goes up until October, because I don't necessarily have to plant something right along the edges anyways. I haven't really made up my mind. And as far as the green beans, I'm probably definitely gonna have these continue to grow, and I'll probably continue to plant them until I can't anymore, because the rest of the beds is where I'm going to really focus more on the fall season. And then let's come over here and harvest whatever green beans we have. We have Gold Rush green beans over here. So these yellow ones are Gold Rush. And then we have, let's see. Oh, looks like we had somebody digging here. I wonder who did that. I'm assuming a squirrel. What a little stinker.
I would like to encourage you that even if it seems like there might not be anything to harvest in your garden, and maybe you haven't been out there for a couple of days or even a couple of weeks, to just go out there, I think you would be really surprised.
All right, so here are the Royal Burgundy and the Gold Rush green beans that we got today. And I still see some blooms on there, so hopefully we'll get more of those. And then these are the Jade and Contenders over here. Not a ton on this end, but I will probably get some more next week. And then I do see a cucumber that is ready for me to harvest on this side. And it's massive, so let's grab it. I'm getting professional with the one hand, you guys. That's a good size. All right, so this bed over here, if you have followed my tours, you know, as I said previously from the other bed, I've had issues with my peppers taking forever to fruit for me, but now they are starting to set even more flowers. They're absolutely everywhere. Now, what I did end up doing over the week is I had a Connecticut Wonder green bean. They're like a white green bean, because I had them planted here last year. I think a seed might have fallen during the colder months as the fall was coming, because this was just overflowing with Connecticut Wonder vines, and I ended up just pulling it and taking it out because it intertwined all throughout the peppers, just so that these peppers had a real chance to fruit for me, so that I could hopefully get a pretty good harvest. Now, I have 2 sweet banana peppers that are ready to harvest. I don't have anything yet, but you can see how tall they've gotten. These peppers have gotten really tall. So again, I'm hoping that I can get a lot of peppers right before the cold season. Here's a serrano pepper. And then you can see there's more peppers that are gonna come out. So we'll see what happens. Now, as far as my plans with this bed, here, let's grab these banana peppers. My plans with this bed for the fall is what I'm gonna do is keep these peppers in here for right now. And then what I wanna do is plant either carrots, parsnips, or beets. I haven't figured out which ones, but I want to plant them in the surrounding part of the bed and let these continue to grow as my seed starts in the garage are continuing to grow. So that's what I'm hoping to do. And then by probably October is when I'm going to put my seed starts and probably pull these, unless I decide to overwinter any of these peppers. I'm not really sure because I already have overwintered pepper bags over there, which I'll show you because some of the peppers over there are finally turning color. So that's my hope with this bed for the fall. Okay, so what I'm gonna do from here moving forward is these are all of my tomato beds, 1, 2, and 3. And then I have Kentucky Wonder green beans that are growing over this arch that we're going to harvest. Now, this has gotten pretty wild. My Kentucky Wonder green beans have literally vined out to my tomato plants, which has been kind of nice, as I said in my previous garden tour, because it has helped keep some of the tomato plants growing. As you can see, these right here, these are not very tall, and you could see a lot of my tomato plants are already spilling over. And because we're towards the end of the season, I may pick a few up, but see, I picked a few of these up and just kind of place them next to each other because I'm not heavily pruning. I'm not going to put a whole bunch of energy because they're all going to have to get yanked out for the fall season anyway. So I'm just kind of keeping things together a little bit without putting much effort into it and just harvesting when I can. So I'm going to harvest as many tomatoes. These are my Martina Roma tomatoes. These have been very, very prolific this summer. There's not a whole bunch to grab right now, but I still see some green ones. And then I do have this beautiful beefsteak right here because I had a couple of beefsteaks that I put down here. And then over here, just some yellow pear tomatoes that I'm gonna grab. And then I believe there's a Cherokee purple that we're gonna harvest over here. And then over here are my bags of a bunch of cherry tomatoes, and you can see there's quite a bit to harvest from here too, so we're gonna harvest those as well. Okay, I got my trusty little pouch here because I'm going to be getting on that stool just to get up to those higher parts of the plant. And I do want to mention here, there's a ton of green tomatoes. I mean, these are just growing like crazy. I mean, that's all I see is new growth everywhere, flowers, everything. So, you know, I'm going to let these grow as much as possible until I have to take them out. This is what I'm talking about. It's like a jungle in here. I can't even walk through to get to the tomatoes that are right in here. You can see how everything's getting really diseased already. That means the season is coming to a close, guys. And that's okay. Fall season is a wonderful season to grow food too. I can't wait for that. Okay, let's grab this gorgeous Cherokee purple tomato. Let's see this stem is hanging over, probably because of the weight. Let's see. Oh, and I dropped it. There you go. Well, there's a beautiful Cherokee purple that I dropped. It's still good. A little muddy, but we'll clean them up. What's really cool is I have more Cherokee purple tomatoes. There's one here, here, and here that are growing. We'll see how quick they grow before I have to take them out. But even if they're green, there's still wonderful things that you could do with green tomatoes too. And I think there's more over here. Let me show you. Let me get on my stool. But look, there's one, here's some, there's another one right there. I mean, they're just growing all over the place now. Looks like that one got eaten up here, but they're still growing, so we'll see. Even if I have green tomatoes, I'll take it. So, very happy to see that. Before I continue, I really want to encourage you to start a fall garden. While I do love the summer garden, it is nice to have a fall garden because it's not as hot, but you can grow so much in your fall garden if you start some seeds now, or even if you went to a nursery or local nursery and bought a few plants. I think you would really enjoy it. So I want to encourage you in that. And remember, don't get overwhelmed in your garden right now. It may seem really messy and really just all over the place, but this is the most beautiful time where you're harvesting and also gearing up and planning for the fall season. I, for one, love starting a new season because it feels like a fresh start. And while I do really love harvesting the summer garden, I'm looking forward to a fall, crisp, colder type of season for gardening. So I really want to encourage you in that as well. Okay, you guys, now onto these Kentucky Wonders. I have to get up on my stool to do this because they're growing all over the place. So let's grab whatever we see from here. And I'm not gonna go all the way over. I'm gonna fall down. We don't want that. Although it probably would be a really good laugh, I'm sure. I wouldn't be laughing, but maybe I would, I don't know. Let's see. Oh my goodness, these are, oh, and I dropped one. These are really large. I'm really happy that I have this, even though this is kind of uncomfortable. I'm happy that I have this little pouch. I just wanted to give you a quick aerial view of the top of the trellis. Look at how beautiful it is up here and all the tomato plants that are popping up through the green beans. It's so lush up here. Okay, we're gonna come over to this side of the trellis. So this is right in between both of the beds. We're gonna harvest a few more of these, and then I'm gonna tell you what I plan to do with these beds. Look at this little guy. He's just growing, growing. Now, since I'm under the trellis, there's a ton of tomatoes right here that I'm just gonna go ahead and harvest. These are the San Marzanos, and they've been really, really good. I have really enjoyed growing these and plan to grow them again next year. See if I can reach my hand in here. Yep, and see if they're a flush, hold on, let me get my hand out. Okay, even if they show just a hint of, let's get this zoomed, even if they show like a hint of pink or red, but they're still kind of green, I still grab them anyways because they can ripen in the kitchen, and then that way I could, ooh, that one doesn't look good. That way I can allow more of the fruit to grow because it'll tell the fruit the plant to put more energy into the fruit.
I also do plan to record a video in the future showing how I plan to use these tomatoes in the kitchen for my family.
Now these right here, my little bush Roma tomato plants, they've been doing really well. So this one looks like it's ready to harvest, so we're gonna grab that. But we do have quite a bit of green ones here still. So hopefully next week's tour I can grab those. So my plans for these beds for the fall season is I plan to pull out the rest of this Tulsi Holy Basil. I just harvested a ton of this last week's garden tour and harvest. And then even with this bed, I have lemon basil that is surrounding the perimeter. And I also have lemon basil surrounding this perimeter as well. But as you can see, some of it's getting pretty just beat up, and I've harvested so much of this basil already that I don't really have to have any more. So my plan is to tear all of these out on the perimeters and that one as well, and start to plant. And I know I'm planting it kind of late, but we're just going to go with it. My goal is to plant carrots or parsnips or beets, onions around the perimeter, a lot of root crops. And then in the middle where you see all of these garden grids is where I plan to plant all of my seed starts that are in the garage. So my cauliflower, broccoli, cabbages, kale, all those things is what I plan to plant in the grids, and they're not quite ready to be planted yet, which means I'm gonna allow these tomato plants to continue to grow. I'm gonna harvest as much as I can every single week. And then when it's time to put the seed starts in is when I plan to rip out the tomato plants and then plant all of my seed starts. And then my other goal along this trellis is plant peas. Now, I had such great success with telephone peas. Right now, these are all the Kentucky Wonder Green beans that are planted right next to this trellis. So my goal is to come over here and plant the telephone peas so that way I can continue to harvest some of the green beans. And then when these are done, I could rip these out. Oh my goodness, look at, I totally did not even see that. Look at those. Let's grab those. That once these are done, then these will have already started growing, and then they can climb up the trellis because they get pretty high. So that's my plan for the fall season when it comes to these 3 beds right here. And then as I said, with this one and that first metal bed, I do plan to plant around the perimeter. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with the pepper plants yet. I have not made up my mind yet. So this one I'll probably pull out. I don't know, I might overwinter that entire bed. I have no idea yet. I still cannot make up my mind on that. And then these 2 beds back here had a lot of my Genovese or my sweet basil. Oh, look at this one, fell right over. Hello. But if you have been following my tours, I don't know if that one wants to stay. If you've been following my tours, this is the Kellogg's breakfast tomatoes, and these are the watermelon beefsteak tomatoes. They just have not produced any tomatoes for me, and now look at, now they're starting to produce tomatoes. Right when we're getting ready to start the fall season soon. And then look at how tall they've gotten, and there's flowers up there. So I think the same is gonna be with these beds as I had mentioned in the beds over here. I'm probably going to tear out the sides and plant some seeds. And then if my seed starts are ready to come out here in the garage, then I'm just gonna have to yank out these tomato plants and just grab whatever produced and just move on, because I just don't really think that these are gonna produce anything. And I'm not quite ready to put my fall plants in anyways, so I'm just gonna let them stay there and do their thing for a little while and see if I get any tomatoes at all. These 2 bags have been doing pretty well, so this one's ready to harvest, and so are these. And then not much new on these bags with the watermelons. This one seems to just keep climbing. So a lot of these bags and a lot of these buckets, which we're gonna get to this in a minute, I'm kind of just letting these plants continue to grow. And then as I start to fill up these beds back here, this will kind of be my next phase where I start to pull these plants out and then start to plant some of my fall crops in these buckets. What I really like about having these back here is it allows me to still have some of my summer plants going until they can't go anymore, while I get all of these up and running a little bit at a time. And that's what's really nice about having different sections of the garden, is that you can do a little bit at a time and do them in increments. And then just to touch base on my overwintered peppers, I don't think, well, there's a poblano. There's always a poblano every week to harvest, which is great. Nothing on the jalapenos, although we have one coming right here. And then none of these turned yellow still. So they're taking a while there, but there's still a lot. And then we do have a poblano pepper to harvest. So let's grab this one. Every week we've been able to harvest poblanos, which has been wonderful. Let's see, is there any others? Yep, there's one right here. Let's grab this one. And let's see if there's any other ones. Oh, there's this one. Oh yeah, look at how beautiful these are. Oh my gosh. They're just so beautiful. Now what I've been doing with these is I've been cutting these up and putting them in ground beef for like taco night or nacho night. And it's not too spicy because my kids eat them and they don't like spice. So it's been nice. Let's see, can I do 3? I don't know, can I do 3 without? Let's see. Oh, no, I can't. I found it. Look at this, more poblanos. There's just so many. And again, this has been my overwinter plant, which has been really nice. There's another one here, and there's more there, and there's more up there. They're just everywhere. So back here is my bucket garden, and then back here are my row of 25-gallon bags. And then more recently I had a whole bunch of bags all over the place, and I'd put these pallets here about a week ago now, and I had a bunch of squash, but I started putting green beans in because I have not had success with squash this summer. So I decided to put a bunch of bush green beans in here because our family loves green beans and they do very well for me. So we're just waiting for those. And then just to kind of give you an update, I actually did, because I really am hoping to grow some squash. So I replanted an early prolific squash because the germination and harvest, it was just the quickest date for me. It was like 40 to 45 days to harvest. So I put one in here, as well as this one, and I think there might have been one more. I can't think of where I put it, but I'm still rooting for some squash. Now these tomatoes, I believe, are called Sunrays. I really like these tomatoes, and I'm probably going to plant these again next year. It was my first time growing them, and I really just, I think they're beautiful. And I love the size. This one fell. I love the size of these tomatoes too. Now, I want to mention something about these buckets. I did a budget bucket video on these, and I'm going to link them in the bottom or in the description below. Now, it doesn't look like there's a ton of tomatoes on these, but I planted these late because I really wanted to do the video, and I had to gather everything, and it wasn't ready in time for me to plant these tomato plants in May. I think these ended up getting planted in June. So they're now starting to flourish, and that's why I was showing you this, is that now they're starting to bloom a ton. And I may get a huge harvest of tomatoes before the season's over, which is why I'm probably going to let these buckets I'm going to keep the tomatoes in these buckets while I do these beds first for the fall, because my hope is that I can harvest quite a bit of tomatoes. But the idea that I got these buckets for free and all I paid was for soil and compost and seed is a big deal to me, because gardening costs money. I mean, let's just be real. It costs money. And if there's a way for anyone and everyone to garden, then this is a really great way to be able to start a garden. And again, the pallets are not a must. That's an optional thing. I only have it here because my land slopes down, so it's very uneven. So my husband decided to prop this side up so that it would be even for all the buckets. But I really truly love this whole bucket garden because it's just such an easy way to garden, and it's a very inexpensive way to garden. So I highly encourage you to try having a bucket garden. It really is worth it. Look at this beautiful Cherokee purple tomato. Oh my gosh, there's not even cracks on the top. Most of the tomatoes I've been harvesting has cracks on the top, which is not a big deal to me. The one I harvested here last tour had some cracks, but this one looks, I mean, flawless. It's gorgeous. Let's harvest. Oh my goodness. Look at how beautiful that is. Look at that. Should be on a magazine, no? Yeah, I think so. It's so pretty. Now, there are no new tomatoes except for this one we're going to harvest in these bags right now. We did harvest one over here yesterday, and there's still one over there that's green. But I want to say this is the Martha F one. This is kind of like a blushy reddish pink one. These have been amazing. I really like the Martha F1 tomatoes as well. They've been wonderful. Okay, well, I am losing sun here, and so let's harvest a little bit more of these tomatoes over here because there's quite a bit, and then we shall be done, I think. And then this over here has the green beans. I've shared this before, and I think I might do a separate video on this because I think it would really help people that have small garden spaces. And even if you don't, I mean, I finally measured my garden space. It's about 1,500 square feet. And I can plant a lot with 1,500 square feet, but if I can plant 5 green bean plants in this 5-gallon bag and then plant another 5 and continually harvest food from just a 5-gallon bag, I don't care if I have 20,000 square feet of garden space, I still think it's worth doing. So I think it's really well worth it to grow in grow bags, especially with these bush and green beans. You can continue to put seeds in there so that you can have a constant harvest of green beans.
I wanted to quickly show you my garden on my driveway just to kind of give you an update on that. I have a whole bunch of plants from my lemon and lime trees to my asparagus. I've planted a ton more green beans. There's my ginger and my turmeric. I do have a little bit more of tomatoes in the green stalks, and some of the spots that look empty are just freshly planted with green beans. Now, I recently just did a huge cleanup with most of my green stalks because I'm getting them ready for the new plantings this fall. But I do plan to harvest a bunch of this kale right now to make a homemade powder that I incorporate into my smoothies. And this right here is my beautiful strawberry tower. And these right here are my raspberries and my blueberries.
Well, friends, thank you for going on another garden tour and harvest with me. This week we harvested quite a bit again, and even though we're gearing towards the fall season, there's still quite a bit of food that is coming in. So let's see all that we harvested today. So we harvested a ton more tomatoes, cucumbers, peppers, green beans, just in today. And we also harvested kale. Now this was growing in my green stalk, and the way I use my kale is I freeze dry it and I turn it into a powder, and I use that and incorporate it into my smoothies. But overall, I am really happy with the harvest. Again, another week of just an abundance of food in the garden, and I couldn't be more happy. So thanks for stopping by, and I look forward to seeing you all next time. Bye. And remember, be encouraged, and stay inspired. I'll see y'all next time.